Hello, welcome back to our channel. As the big day approaches, Abigail is preparing to marry Chad, but there's one significant problem: this isn't the real Abigail. In a shocking twist, the woman walking down the aisle isn't Chad's beloved late wife at all. Instead, she's an imposter playing the role of Abigail. Abigail, and her brother, Mark Green, are both caught in the ruthless clutches of Clyde Weston, a notorious criminal mastermind who has given them an impossible ultimatum. The siblings must carry out Clyde's orders if they hope to save their mother's life. Abigail is painfully aware of what's at stake, but she remains in the dark about just how dangerous this wedding really is. Meanwhile, Mark Green is facing a far more sinister task. Under Clyde's orders, Mark is expected to do the unthinkable. He must kill Chad, the very man his sister is about to marry. The stakes are at their highest. Mark knows that failure to carry out Clyde's orders will result in their mother's death, but success would mean plunging his sister into widowhood and emotional turmoil. As the wedding day draws closer, the weight of the situation grows unbearable. Mark, burdened with guilt and trapped by Clyde's manipulative threats, nearly breaks his silence. At one point, he almost calls Abigail to confess everything, to warn her about the impending danger, but his courage falters. He tries to reach out to his sister on the phone, but when Abigail hangs up abruptly, still caught up in her own desperate attempt to play her part and protect her mother, Mark is left with no one to turn to. In a critical scene that raises the tension even higher, Mark finds himself at the hospital, where he crosses paths with Steve Johnson. Steve seems to know more than he's letting on. Mark, sitting in his office, stares through the open doors and down a hallway at Steve, who is standing in a hospital room. Mark watches intently, unsure if he's overhearing the conversation between Steve and another character. Has Steve uncovered their plan? Is Mark's secret about to be exposed? The uncertainty of whether Mark heard anything, or whether Steve knows the truth, creates a nail-biting moment of suspense. If Steve has figured out that Clyde's orders include murder, it could mean the end of their entire scheme. Mark's world begins to crumble as the walls close in, leaving him with no choice but to act swiftly. With time running out and his mother's life still hanging in the balance, Mark makes a fateful decision. He rushes to the wedding, knowing that he has one last chance to carry out Clyde's orders. The wedding between Abigail and Chad is in full swing, with guests none the wiser about the sinister plan lurking in the background. For Mark, this moment represents a final, irreversible turning point. His target is clear: Chad. If Mark pulls the trigger, Abigail will be left a widow, inheriting Chad's considerable fortune. But at what cost? The emotional devastation of losing Chad, compounded by the revelation that her own brother was behind the murder, would surely destroy Abigail. And yet, for Mark, this may be the only way to ensure their mother's survival. As Mark approaches the ceremony, the tension is palpable. Will he go through with it? Will he truly shoot Chad in cold blood, or will someone step in to stop him at the last moment? There's no turning back now, and the consequences of Mark's decision could reshape the lives of everyone involved. Even if Mark manages to kill Chad and fulfill his part of Clyde's deadly scheme, there's still one more question that looms over the entire plot. Can Clyde Weston be trusted to keep his word? Clyde is a master manipulator, and it's entirely possible that once he has what he wants, Chad's fortune and control over Abigail, he may not honor his agreement to release their mother. With Clyde's treachery looming, Mark's moral dilemma becomes even more excruciating. Was it all for nothing? Will their mother be freed, or will they be left with nothing but loss and regret?